And Anej, will you come on with your video and your audio? Yeah. Shall we start?
Just a minute.
Don't put on your screen at the moment. Wait a second and then.
Yes, we can start. Jamila, we can start.
Yeah. A very warm welcome and greetings to all the members of AIWC and all the guests who have joined us on this platform today. This is our New Year first session. And as we launch into this session, I would like to wish everyone a very happy and peaceful New Year 2025. January session, when we were thinking about what to have for this session, we decided that we should have something that is very relevant for the modern world and particularly for the student population. And that is when we thought about having a talk on artificial intelligence and the future of education. At the start of this new year, we know that education is undergoing a massive transformation, particularly with the global networking that has set in, and students' access to a lot of information on the World Wide Web. And we find that every time that we talk about the internet and the advantages of the internet, we sometimes forget the disadvantages of having so much of information all around us. And mostly some of this information is not reliable and students have access to this. And one of the ways in which we need to prove the kind of information that comes to us and the kind of inquiry and curiosity and critiquing that they need to develop is something that the teachers of today, both in schools and in colleges, need to know and need to communicate to the student population. Artificial intelligence has a tremendous potentiality for education, mainly because this is an instrument, this is a machine learning process. And this is also a process where it is a platform where the student does not just go and get information, but uses his curiosity or uses his critical abilities to ask questions and then get information. Always when we think of the vastness of the information around us, the question that arises is, how much can our students understand and take in for their learning? And this is where, in a way, artificial intelligence becomes useful. It is not just a World Wide Web. It only answers questions for you. It, especially a tool of artificial intelligence, which is the Copilot. If you go to the Copilot, you download it on your mobile or on your computer, and you need to ask questions to get answers and lead up questions from what you have asked. This is where I think the teaching faculty needs to give a lot of training to our students, a lot of skills that they can learn. And many of these skills that artificial intelligence can enable our students to learn at their own pace, at their own time, and at their own level is something that is a powerful tool. And I think we need to address that. Especially an example that I could like to share with you is the Khan Academy. The Khan Academy has lots of maths modules in their, their lesson program. And every student who registers into it has the potential to find out at which level he is, because the software enables them, the weaker or the stronger student, to choose the level at which they can start their learning. And as they learn, they move up the level. Now, this is what something that artificial intelligence has enabled in the learning process. And also we find that it's not only the fact that they can do it at different levels, there is a kind of private tutoring as well, in the sense that there is a one-to-one learning process, understanding and teaching process that goes on. Because every student feels important, that he is the sole learner, particularly in a classroom, the classrooms that we have in colleges with big numbers and teachers getting fewer and teachers being given multiple tasks. The interaction between the student and the teacher is decreasing fast. And this is where I think artificial intelligence steps in to give us the potential for interaction, one-to-one interaction, teacher-student interaction, the student level at which they learn, and also the pace at which they learn, and the time that they can choose to do the learning process. So it's not just in the classrooms, but in their homes, at their own time, they can understand and learn at their own pace. Now, this is a big contribution that artificial intelligence has made to the education arena. Also, another very significant contribution that artificial intelligence has made to education is what is called the prompt engineering skills. In the prompt engineering skills, the student has the ability to choose an engineering program or an engineering skill that he would like to do not by choosing something that he wants to do, but by deciding what he would not like to do. So that's a huge choice that is given to him, and it tells the student that these are the choices you can make if you are a science student or if you are an art student. And then he can look at those choices. I remember when we were all in school, we were asked the question, what would you like to be when you grow up? Today, I think that question has become very irrelevant, because you do not know what you want to do when you grow up, unless you know the immense potential for different kinds of skills that exist in the world today. A lot of us don't know what the skills are, particularly in the space age that we have today, the different kinds of skills that are developing, the kind of interaction with people that we need, communication skills that we need. Anej was talking about the use of the English language. In an international world, naturally we need English as a language of communication. But artificial intelligence also helps us in translating the English into our native language, or from our native language into English. I was talking with my daughter who teaches artificial intelligence. Initially, I had thought of calling her to give us the talk. She was telling me that disabled students, like who are blind or who cannot see, who cannot hear, even mentally, students who have mental problems, artificial intelligence can come in at that point at which they will be able to understand, so that the choices that are before them, the transference from one language to another, which they will understand, and at the level at which they will understand, are all great contributions that artificial intelligence has made. One of the complaints about artificial intelligence is that of accepting artificial intelligence is that what will happen to the human intelligence? Will it replace the human intelligence? Artificial intelligence can never be a human intelligence. It is an artificial intelligence. And it has only data that has been fed into it. And that is the work that is being done now. And of all the immense knowledge or information that is around us, only a small percentage of it has been fed into the artificial intelligence system, into the machine. So you will get only what is already there. But the human intelligence has the ability to create, and it also has the ability to critically analyze things, which the artificial intelligence can help in sharpening. And that is the role of artificial intelligence. And like at one time, we thought computers will come in and replace all human work, and people will lose their jobs. Not at all. Artificial intelligence actually creates more jobs, different kinds of skills, and that is what they mean by prompt engineering skills. It prompts them about the various skills that are available. And it is only when you ask questions that they are able to answer and tell us. So identifying a level of knowledge for us, this machine learning has many advantages. And I think we should accept the fact that it is not what you'd say, a replacement of the human brain or the human intelligence. It is only an advantage for the human intelligence and the human capital that we have in the world today, and that is our students. And the students will be able to benefit much more by going into or getting an awareness of artificial intelligence. Concerning the teachers, particularly in education, one of the things that has been highlighted is that often the teachers find it difficult to do the kind of grading, assessment, evaluation, admissions, things like that, which take up a lot of their time. Now, if all that is relegated to an artificial intelligence system, they will get more time to interact with their students. So that is the advantage for the teachers as well. So instead of doing a lot of mundane work, which they are not really equipped for, I think the teachers will get the free time and get that space for them to interact with students. So when all is told, artificial intelligence is something we should welcome at the beginning of this year, that is 2025. And let us hope that AIWC will also make use of the artificial intelligence programs that are coming up one after the other. Now, to talk to us about this in greater detail, we have with us Associate Professor Anej Somaraj. He is a research guide and he works at the Christian College Chengannur. He has an MA, a PhD from FLU, Hyderabad, and he has also done a certificate course in teaching English to students of other languages, CELTA, from the University of Cambridge. My association with Anej is through ASAP, that is the Additional Skill Acquisition Program that we did and the curriculum that was built there. He later went on to head the curriculum division for NSQF, and he's a communicative English trainer. He has also had some international exposure. He worked in Libya for some time. He was also a consultant at King Saud University in Saudi Arabia. Among his many interests, of course, is ELT and mission culture, curriculum design, and HR training. I'm sure he's going to tell us more about mission culture, what missions mean to the world today, and how missions can help us. So a very warm welcome to you, Anej Somaraj, and greetings and welcome to all the other members who have joined us on this platform, our well-wishers, all the regular members who are here. So a very, very warm welcome to all of you. So over to you, Anej. You can begin your presentation.
Thank you very much, madam. It's a great pleasure to have this opportunity to have so many distinguished members of the academia, and there is so much of interest in what the world around us is changing and how we are going to be prepared for that. So without much ado, I'll move into our area. I hope it is visible.
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to lay out the groundwork about what AI is. I'm just going to run you through what exactly has been the point of origin of AI. I think a major interest in AI came with the AI open source in the form of ChatGPT coming up in a big way. And then we will go a little bit into what really happens behind the screen. How do these machines actually go about creating what we call as machine learning, as well as the artificial intelligence are formed? What are the ways that it is evolved? What are the steps that it is in right now? And what is it going to be in future? And through this, I'll just have a walkthrough about what are the roles that it will affect each of our lives and the life of our students, how the world is going to radically change from the views about the need for specialists and the role of generalists coming up in a big way. And I would also like to introduce a few tools that would be quite handy in reducing the uh, pressures and challenges of teaching. I believe that teaching or the role of teachers is changing very drastically. And in some ways, whenever I have this session, like in the last one with the BIT, one of the question was, will teachers become extinct? Will they become, one teacher was on the point that, are we going to be like the way of the dinosaurs? These are the questions that are always there. I don't have all the answers, but I will try to share a few of my experiences and also see how we can leverage this in the classrooms of today. Now, post-COVID, we all understood the challenges of the classroom teaching in terms of the attention that we have to the students. So falling attention spans is a major challenge. We find that people are more and more within the digital bubble. And this is one challenge, I think, which AI may be able to address well for us. So start off with what is actually, I mean, most of us would have been familiar with ChatGPT as a tool which our students would have used to do their assignments and to give instant responses. That's when we all realize that something is wrong. The answers start coming very quickly and they're too precise. That's when we realize that there is something wrong in the classroom. So it all starts with OpenAI, which is a company that is actually using artificial intelligence techniques, which are trying to generate human-like responses to questions and prompts. As Jemima just rightly point out, it's all about the right prompts. So it's about machines that are being fed with vast amounts of data. And through that, we are actually training them to look at options and try to have an understanding. How is it that responses can be created to the inputs that are given to it? So the amount of data that is made available is amazing. I mean, you have terabytes and terabytes of data being fed into it. Everything from, let's say, the Twitter feeds to the encyclopedia, the Facebook feeds, all that is fed into. And each company has its own set of models. So it's quite surprising that the source of the data that we have can be quite point of contention, but that's how things have been evolving. So how does it work? What does it do really? What it does is it has the capability to develop quick and accurate questions to a range of questions. So it does not matter what you're talking to, which context it is, what subject you're asking. It's able to function in an enormous amount of areas and is able to switch between disciplines with great ease. So you'll find that it has got extensive applications, whether it is in customer support. I'm sure that whenever you log into your online banking or whether you are trying to get in touch and want to find some details, you already have these AI tools operating, the bots, which they're called. They function in many ways. You open a newspaper online, you automatically see the option of actually seeing that being translated, and also the option of actually having to being able to write creatively. So you have somebody's birthday coming up and you want to write a special message. You can just AI to compose a poem, and you can even specify the number of words, the number of syllables you want to use it to. It can do that very quickly. Now, how does it do that? That's the kind of a question that it raises for us. So to begin with, if we let's just try to look at the stages of the evolution of AI. It all starts at the stage of machine learning, where these technologies somehow there has been a wrong notion that AI is very new. It wasn't. It was actually way back in the 80s. You already had the beginning of AI, and there was a lot of interest in that at that point of time. And that is why the when you had the iPhones, for example, iPhone 6 series and all, you already had Siri implanted there, which was actually doing what we call an artificial narrow intelligence, which is all the ANI, which was able to give you a certain set of responses. We call them narrow because they can only do within a certain context. So, for example, if you asked Alexa to ask about the weather, it could tell you the temperature. But if you said that, do you think it is really warm enough that I should wear a sweater? It would not have a response to that. So this is Cortana, Alexa, Siri. These are all the levels, manifestations of what we call the ANI, the artificial narrow intelligence, as it could be called them. And currently, we are seeing that there's a lot of changes that have come up, and we are in stage 2, which we call an artificial general intelligence level, where it's possible that it is able to do more than just giving the responses to stock questions. It is able to think differently. Now, the advantage today we have is that you are able to connect across disciplines. You are able to switch across data, whether it's been numerical data, visual data, or any other form. They're constantly switching with them, and you're able to tamper with them to a great extent. This is where we are currently at stage 2. Now, this won't be there for long. We will soon be moving to stage 3, which we call the ASI, or the artificial superintelligence, which we could call as AKA the machine consciousness, the machine becoming aware that it is different from the others, or the consciousness of I coming into a machine. So the time it took for AI to make the transition from stage 1 to stage 2 was quite long. The part of the reason is that, again, like a human child, it also learns through trial and error. So initially, you only had limited responses, and the output was also limited. But what has been changing is that the machines have been able to give more computing and also be able to stretch across disciplines. So currently, we anticipate that the progression to stage 3 or ASI would be much faster than we anticipate. And it's just a matter of time before you will have ASI operating. In fact, there are many who claim that ASI is already operating in certain examples and certain very specific areas. I'll try to have a little bit of that as well. Now, what exactly happens behind the screen? How is it that these are able to generate those responses very quickly? So it's almost magical in the way they operate. You just punch in your request and they come up with all processes that are there. So very quickly, I'll just run you through the basic process that goes in. One is the pre-processing. Now, this is where actually you have the prompt playing a bigger role. So if you're giving a one sentence prompt, and so on the other hand, you have a more nuanced and detailed, and let's say 450 or 150 word long prompt, this helps to have the pre-processing where the machine is able to start thinking about what specific things to bring to it. It helps to narrow down the focus, and also it is able to have a better answer which has more details, and it is able to avoid errors in a big way. The next process is called encoding, where it tries to the input that is given by us mostly is a type response. It's only for a point, but already if you look at ChatGPT 3.0 and others, you can actually have visual responses or even audio responses. You need to only say that, and it will do the process of encoding and then eventually decoding the whole process. And once the decoding is done, it goes to the process of the text generation. Now, currently, text generation is mostly as typed out responses, but we expect that by the end of the year or two, we will have audio responses where you will have AI speaking to you. So you speak to the AI, and it gives it response back to you. And the post processing is when it tries to look for the kind of responses are going to be analyzed. That is, how good is its response? It starts evaluating its own answers. So it's like a very efficient customer feedback, trying to find out how it is doing and what's going. Currently, post-processing actually happens mostly in China, where the Chinese universities, where they are working on in greater detail on the post-processing part, where they try to see how good are the responses given, and the machine is trying to evaluate its own responses. So it is more ranking itself in a way. Now, currently, what we have is more like a 5-year-old. The extent of the technologies that we have is currently like a 5-year-old. But what it really wherever it packs the punch is actually it's in a very good library, because it's got a very huge extensive library where it keeps storing information every day. So imagine like each day it is accumulating more and more libraries, not a book or two, but entire libraries being assimilated into that. It's more like each time you give a response to it, it is thinking and learning from that. So it becomes smarter every time you talk to it. So this is actually a small screenshot from a film where it's about the libraries of the future, and that's the entire hall, which has got every single book ever printed is there. All you have is some screen mirrors, a couple of glass mirrors, and you have a giant screen there. That's all. So you just walk into it, and the AI is more like an individual who can talk to you. So it's like Mr. Jeeves who responds to every question that you ask. So again, I just would like to address the elephant in the room. Is it good or bad? It's a hero or a villain. Everything has two sides to it. It's as simple as that. We would all have the concerns which are there, and recently they were actually they made an android which was shaped like a human, and it could give responses. And immediately the newspapers had reports about that. Here you have a teacher who is come in, and they even had a sari around that teacher. And then I wonder why it was a sari, why it could not be any other dress. But so the response was that here is a teacher now, so no need for teachers anymore. Now we probably have teachers who are far, far efficient. So I just feel that irrespective of these notions that keep being thrown around, it has got two sides to that. And it would be helpful for us to understand the two aspects of that. So what it does initially is, now if you look at objectively, it improves the efficiency. That's no doubt about that, because it helps us to carry out extensive amounts of details and so on. Imagine having a classroom where you are suddenly having to recollect the exact score of a particular student. Where was he having a fault with? Was it with the pronunciation, or was he having a problem with the syntax or structure? Any of these data, irrespective of the size of the classroom, whether it is 30 class in a classroom or 10,000 or 50,000, it doesn't matter. It can get the data instantly. So the efficiency is definitely very high. Next is the customer service part. I think what it does is that the customer-centric nature of an AI classroom is very, very high. Because it's possible that in a classroom, you can have 30 students, and each of them having a different kind of input given to them according to their levels. So that's a kind of a focused learner-centric classroom that AI is able to support. Next is it helps to promote creativity in a big way. Most of the classrooms may not be able to provide for the, given the time frame and others. Creativity usually takes a backseat. But that is where creativity, AI classrooms help the students come up with their own notions. Next is the advanced automation. So currently, if you were to look at how a student is onboarded to a classroom, the entire process can take long time. It would have long files created, photographs to be pasted, details being entered, the 10th standard marks, 11th, 12th marks being entered by hand, addresses, details, the phone numbers may be wrong, the mobile numbers may be incorrect, all those details. Now, as far as AI is concerned, all these things can be done, and it will even correct you or make the changes where the numbers are wrong, because it's already cross-referencing it with, for example, what is being done. For example, if a child has prior exposure to, let's say, a foreign culture, it will be there in the file. Even if it is not entered, it would come through that. I'll talk a little bit when we come to the specific softwares doing that. Of course, there's always a flip side. Yes, there will be job losses. I know that this is where the people everybody picks up their pitchforks and say, "Okay, come on, let's have a go at that." Now, job losses would happen, but it's not people losing jobs, but it would be that people who have jobs but have no exposure to AI, they will be replaced by people who have exposure to AI. That's what job losses would really entail, where unless you are skilled enough with the AI tools, your job is in threat. So the only way that is around that is to equip yourself with the AI tools. Of course, there are many flaws of AI, which we would have. We have several what we call a ghosts in the system. Now, there are extensive biases. You know how AI puts its own likes and dislikes and colors our assessment and judgment. There are numerous instances of inaccuracies being fed, and it is projected as the truth. So there is even the other day I was having a discussion with Madhuri Media School, and they were talking about a big challenge about looking at the accuracy of that. So in fact, now every other organization is trying to look at a job role like fact checking. That's a new job which is available for, especially for those English graduates. Fact checking. That's a discipline which has come up, and because any information is only as good as its source. So how to authenticate information, how to verify, that becomes a great concern. Because when AI is replicating things, it is never going to create anything new. It will only take what is already there. So that raises the privacy concerns, because anything that is there in the public domain can be appropriate. That's what a serious concern of AI is. So whether it is the voice of Amitabh Bachchan or maybe the smile of someone, any of that could be replicated and used. So the question of the privacy concerns are quite severe, and they haven't been addressed. Currently, we have no legislation which is trying to find a solution to that. We have the national white paper on AI and the tools, but it opens up more questions than having answers. Of course, it also creates a situation when the dependence on technology becomes very high. And if, for example, there's a power failure, or let's say the connectivity is lost, you have a huge problem on hand. There is no backup systems. So, like I said, this is about creativity in the classroom. So, AI can really, really help with that. What I found is that when we deal with challenges like attention deficits or lack of interest and so on, this is where AI helps to come up with new solutions. So you can see how you have cricketers as toddlers. This could be easily a great prompt to start off a discussion in a classroom. And even the most reticent child, learner in a classroom would want to join in that. Now, once you open that, now it's going to be in every classroom, whether it's a history classroom or a language classroom, these are going to be coming. So these are all images which is being generated by AI. So you have Emperor Ashoka on one side. Now, the whole point is this sort of conflicts with our notions or our concept of what Ashoka would likely have been. And the paintings and what the murals and others, all that is shattered. And there's a big question of whether this AI or deep fakes or any other fake instances that are created will actually have a greater priority than the actual thing. So this is a risk that comes through that. So if it is Akbar, for example, that they would want to look at, have a certain idea of that. Now, suddenly AI, again, like I said, creates certain ghosts. It thinks of Akbar in more in terms of having Mongoloid features, or Shivaji as being something like that. So it does have notions on its own, which are heavily biased. And this creates challenges within the classroom. So this is actually about, again, the Indian states, how they are envisioned by AI. So you have a Punjabi couple in a certain way and a Gujarati couple in a certain way. So you can clearly see how the biases are projected, and you have a certain, indications which are there. Now, how do those bias come? Well, it all depends on the language model they're trained in. If you are exposed to, let's say, the Twitter feeds where there's a lot of anti-Semitism or anti-Black narrative, this will automatically be reflected. So this is the kind of a problem because AI, like I said, it has an awareness, but it's again a very statistical or data-driven one, and it does not have the ability to understand and think for itself. So the data that it gives can be highly erroneous. So I'll just point out very quickly the kind of challenges we have. So here is a picture of AI, which is about a Bengali couple. So the West Bengal, how is it that they look at? So if you look carefully, the picture seems very much biased in one way, and there are local factual inaccuracies. For example, if you look at the right side of the painting, the section, I've enlarged it, you'll find that the number of fingers are wrong. So instead of having four where it should be, they've got 6 or 7, and so on. The fish, the hilsa fish, is abnormally large, and so on. So all these its own follies which are there. So the faults are numerous. For example, you have the woman's fish in the mouth, woman's hand in the fish's mouth, and the fish's size is huge, and it is factually inaccurate. So these are the kind of fails that keep on coming, and the problem comes in when this data that is produced by AI is allowed to circulate. It gets out of hand, and it gets even in the system. It has numerous challenges. So I said the question is like, what actually is going to happen with the role of AI and whether it would replace questions, whether it would replace teachers as such. See, what it does would be that it empowers knowledge in a bigger way. It helps us to actually ensure that knowledge is available in different formats. For instance, classrooms need not always the place where you acquire knowledge. It could be beyond it. So AI is actually very handy. Imagine if a student calls you at 1 a.m. in the morning and says, "I want to know the answer to this question." You may not want to take the call, but AI is available. AI will give you some answer for that point. So it does make our things available in a different way. It is possible for it to open up multiple, let's say, numerous new avenues where it could be done. For example, there could be memes that it's possible to generate memes which will help the student to actually get interested in a class before the classroom actually starts. Next is that it's good at talent identification. What are the different flares of a child? If a child has an interest in painting, can we actually use that to augment our language classrooms? So there could be some questions on that. Sorry about that. Next is the productivity part. That's where it's possible that you can get the children to have an opportunity to do more. Now, if you have a classroom of 50 or 60 students, you will find that some are doing it much quicker, some are slower, and there are some of them who need more help of the teacher. And these instances, actually, AI is just a tool because it would try to give you according to the requirements. So the weaker students will have support, they will have easier questions, while the more advanced learners will have tough questions. So this is something which is actually AI does very well. And the communication part, the way it would give responses to that. So if you are wanting to give the congratulatory message or you want to appreciate a child, you can't do that continuously, but AI can do that every day, day in and day out. So that's what it does. So this is a few tools that I have been using in my classroom. I teach in a college in Chengannur, and this is things that we're trying to do. One is what we call the warmest. It helps you to write emails. So it takes every student to actually they get a key code which is to be entered or a pin, and once they enter the pin, they are able to write emails, and the AI tool assists them through that. So if you're writing a very long subject, it prompts you saying that, well, why don't you make it shorter? Usually people write like this. So you have warmest, which helps you to write emails. Next is roam around. Uh, Roam around actually makes it possible for you to think about a planned tour, for example. So if you want to shift your classroom outside, you want to take your students to visit their town or city, what are the different things there? roam around helps you do that. You just have to input the place and the location and specify the time limit. It will make an itinerary for you and it will share every single detail about place of interest. What can you do in, let's suppose you're in Trivandrum, what can you do? Where are the places you can visit? What is their niche place? And so on. So it helps you to have a learning experience where there is a more of exposure by doing things. So imagine like you're going, having a chance to visit the museum, have a look at the exhibits there and have assignments based on that. Next is Codify. Codify AI actually helps you to bring codes into your daily writing. So whether it be an email that you sent or whether it be, let's say you're writing to thank someone for their assistance, Codify helps you to integrate your narrative into WOM with lots of codes. Now, here again, there have been a few problems because when students write about saying that I'm late in submitting my assignment, the AI train comes with interesting quotes like "better late than never." So that's the kind of thing challenges that come up with. Next is actually Tweak AI, which is very helpful if you want to work with learners who have difficulty in learning, or those who might have come from, let's say, a rural background or other areas where their exposure to language is very limited. So many of them may not be interested in talking to others immediately. So if you want to do a pair activity and they're reluctant to do that, Twig AI is the tool for you. So the Twig AI is actually an AI avatar, which is just like your digital twin. It will look like you, it will speak like you, it will even have the same preferences that you do. So depending upon the kind of games that you play, the kind of music that you listen to, the AI twin is will respond to it. So you can have sessions where you talk to it and helps you to improve your speaking activity. And of course, when you talk about speech, many of them really enjoy actually using Speako. Speako is a speech coach, which helps you to learn independently. It is purely, it can be anywhere. So when you are traveling or when you are at your residence or any other place, you can always try out new things. So it's like you watch a movie and you feel that you want to give a response on the movie, you want to appreciate the film. Here is a response that you can try with. So it will give you how is it that your pronunciation can help you to become a better speaker. So this is another one which is called Reimagine AI. Now the best part about this particular tool is that any particular space that you take a picture of, you can redesign that. So many students actually enjoy this segment where they get an opportunity to redesign their bedrooms or their classrooms and so on. So they come with the AI comes with all funky responses. So how about a classroom which has got some plants in between? How small bonsai trees all around the classroom. It could be that. How about turning it into a big banyan tree and the classroom designed like that? So this is something that we found very useful in many cases. Then this is something which works really well even at the advanced level. It's called Conjure AI. So it's about like having a library which has got a voice. So you talk to the library, and the library always asks you with questions. So the interesting part about Conjure AI is that for every question that you ask, it replies with another question. And you can keep on trying more combinations, like does Harry Potter suffer from Oedipus complex? Now, so this helps you to, even if you aren't familiar with the text, they found is that students, after some time at Conjure AI, they go and read the original because they want to actually outwit the machine. So there is a challenge that they find in that. So it's like the AI gives you sort of answers, and then you think that, no, I should read the text and I can definitely beat it at the game. So sometimes you can use that as a to generate an interest in that. Then there's Marmov. Again, this is quite handy to help you to write blogs. So if you have a writer's block, it will motivate you. The AI would say, "No, I know you can do it. You are better than that." So you have the AI talking to you and motivating you to write better. of course, it will also go through the formats, the templates available are there. Then it would give you suggestions on that, how the choice of words can be sort of edited and you can have better. So it will give you a series of options to make it, and then it will give you a rating scale on how good it would sound to people, and you also get a chance to keep tweaking your language. So what I found is that for more intuitive learners, Marmov has been quite handy because it helps them to continuously improve their learning bit by bit. Then, talking if you're having to teach in a science classroom where you have students who have to read enormous amounts of data, like long articles, 30, 40 pages of articles, which are quite dense. Textify is the one that you can really help you out. What it does is it helps you to read through reams of data and comes up that with a very, very short manner. So it's a very smart reading that is available through that. So if you ask for it, you could even have another app which is Open Read AI, which reads the scientific papers. So you can ask to give just the abstracts, or you can ask it to interpret the data for you. So it can tell you, for example, after looking at 30 or 40 line graphs, what is the figures like, or it can give a digest of a paper. And you can even convert the entire article into a pictograph. So you can easily use it as a revision tool. Imagine the entire 30-page article brought as a pictograph. So this is what it does. Then you have Co-Writer AI, which is a writing tutor. So many times, even if you're doing your research articles, you'll find that each publication requires you to write a certain kind, a certain angle, and two things has been presented, or you need to tone down, or all those things need to be done. So that's where your co-writer AI comes in. It helps through the writing. It is easily adopted with Windows or any of the other or Mac, and it is constantly there. So it's more like something which supports your writing. Right. So I'll just take a few details of the things that have really worked for me in a classroom where we had 120 students. So the onboarding of students is very quick. So getting to know them, their details, assigning them to digital classrooms, having a tutorial to explain out how a digital classroom works, all that is done very quickly with AI. Next is, like I said, the student experience. Now, what we find is that students prefer to have a classroom experience mediated through AI. So the advantage is that we are able to take up things like flipped classroom much more easily because the options that AI gives is quite a lot. Of course, there's a lot of savings in terms of the time and the effort that goes into it. The use of paper reduced quite a lot, because imagine giving handouts to every student where they have a chance to scribble out things. All that is taken care of with these AI tools. And we are also able to, for example, check if, for example, I use an AI tool where I can check how much of portions have completed, whether I should speed up or I should slow down. All that is done. So the optimization is amazing that it does. One of it is that we need to understand that AI will primarily focus on widespread automation. So in the next few months or years, as we want to put it, we will see that there will be widespread automation. We can't stop it. It will come through because it's so much easier for it to do that. So every mechanical process that is repetitive will be taken over. As simple as that. So it's on any of these details that you have. For example, it's very soon that data will have more a kind of a greater synergy. And this synergy would mean that every process that is repetitive and which can be done at a greater speed will automatically be automated. So memory as such would cease to exist as a point of scholasticity or any other factor. Now, earlier people all of us were very comfortable with remembering numbers, telephone numbers, mobile numbers, 30, 40 mobile numbers are easily remembered, and even articles would be cited from memory and so on. Not anymore. So you will see that every single thing, the moment, for example, the AI tools that you are using for writing, even let's say the research dissertation, for example, the moment you're writing, you will have the footnotes and everything being calculated and printed instantly. The citations, the references, all that is going to come in. So, for example, there is something called Quillbot, which you do that. It is constantly updating it through the inferences from various libraries and is bringing them down. So, a reference page number lost or something is a thing of the past. So, memory as such would cease to exist, and there is already a database, and everything is connected. So that brings us to the part about the roles that are being played. One of them is that earlier we had specialists, people who would have a domain which is an exclusively, it could only be done by them. We couldn't find individuals to do that. Now that will change. You will have generalists coming into play. So this will have implications even in the area, let's say the administration, for example. So earlier you had the IAS officers and civil servants who would come in with very specialized area, and so very good at a particular job, and that's all. So all that is going to be a thing of the past. You now have generalists coming up because you don't need to know coding, but you can do programming. You don't need to be a statistician, but your data will be crunched for you. You don't need to do that. So you don't need to have that specialized skill, which takes years to accumulate, but you can still do the work as long as you are able to do that. So I think even the new educational policy, in some ways, is using some of these inputs. That the idea that things will move to the support of generalists. Oh, you will see that the role of learning will change very, very differently. One of them is it's personalized. You will see that they all get a chance to try out different tools. It's not the same for everyone. Each learner gets something unique to himself. Already in China, they're using Chinese university, I think Xinjiang, I think they use a tool where every classroom, the student wears a headset. And depending on how fast they're doing, the headset is sends information to the instructor that these are the questions they are doing wrong, these are the corrections, these are the options. So if the child is, for example, lagging in attention, it is automatically detected. The waves are being read and it is being done. So there is a very high level of personalization being brought in, and it's very inclusive. So it does not matter where they're located. So there are, for example, in the many of the Japanese sports currently, the person who operates a crane is actually nowhere near the crane. It's almost like running a drone, and the students are being trained in similar processes. So the idea is that you can reach even the remotest parts of the world and make education accessible. I had a chance to visit Himachal, and I found it. Students had to walk 10 kilometers to reach the particular college. Now, there is a project happening where they're trying to bring the tools whereby with just a tab they are able to access information, all the details and videos, especially even the Khan's Academy. Even in a remote place, that's almost like around 12 hours drive from Chandigarh in the place. So even the remotest part where there's hardly even electricity, these things are possible. So like I said, it brings AI brings inclusivity in a major way. Next is the role about intelligent tutoring. That's where you have tools like Chegg and others, where you have people support for everything. So earlier, the support as tutors or the teacher support was very limited. For example, after school hours, it was not available. But this means that it is possible at any point of time. So irrespective of the place or where they are, there's a possibility of tutoring being available wherever they want. Automation would also mean that correcting of papers, grading them, preparing the report cards, sending the reports, assessments, all that is automated. So as soon as the student completes the paper, the results are already mailed to their parents. So it's as quick as that. I'll just take a moment to share a couple of tools which could be just to show how some of these things can be taken up. So this is good, where we have been trying. This is something which we've been trying to use. So here is one where you're talking about climate change. So now, when you see that in this one, it gives a lot of options. Now, the entire format is so easily done. I have no exposure to coding or any of these things, but this makes these classrooms very, very lively. And the best part is it's fully supported with AI and it can be so on. So, for example, can do the entire thing. Let's say a session on climate change. So there are a lot of questions being given and things are shared. Now the whole thing is put as a game. Now I'll run it through different modes. One is at a solo where I'll just show you what goes into the entire process, and then maybe if all of you are interested, we could all play that same game, irrespective of your location. We can do that. So how would you like to do that? Would you like to play first and then see the operations? What goes into it? Do you want to do that? You can use a chat box.
Yeah, what would you like to do? Would you like to do it, or we'll come back to that after the discussion? Please unmute. Okay, I think they're.
So we'll do one thing. We'll just see the fourth part, which goes as solo. So we can just play it and I can just go through that.
Yeah, you just do it so that they can watch.
So this is the mode that the student interface would look like. So what we saw earlier was the teacher interface. This is the student interface. So you get options to try flashcards. Now, flashcards helps you to actually revise for something, or it helps you to prep you for the actual session. Then you have the practice sessions where you can try out some of those things. Are you well prepared for a test or some of those things? Then there is this treasure trove where you can hold the whole thing and you compete with one another. So you can try not only with the students within the classroom, but even other parts of the world. So this is actually made available that you can compete with anybody around the world who could be there. Then there is still art where you can actually use your artistic ability to look at some of those things. Then you have more games. Maybe we'll start off with the game first. So it's about climate change. I hope it's visible. Is the audio available?
Yeah, go ahead.
So now you have, this is again Angry Birds. So it's about questions that are there. So what I have been given is only the questions. Rest of the format, all the music, the design, everything is done by AI. So this is some of the things. So global warming is. So I can click on that and automatically it says whether the answer is right and wrong. Then it moves on to questions. I can click the answers. I put them in the order. So it helps them to do some of these things by themselves. So I can move them constantly and try it out. And then you can click the submit. So there is correction, but nobody's telling them no red pens, no red or green pen. Then again, birds of the feather flock together. Now, this is actually a question that is generated by AI. I had even given a different question, but there is an option to gamify it. So it comes with this answer. Birds of feather flock together, but what is weather? This is not the question that I given. I had given a different question, but it makes it interesting. So I said that, okay, fine, okay, it's a temperature, and I submit it. It says almost there. The responses are quite different. So each learner gets a different response. So that makes it really interesting. Sona, his hot place for Angry Birds and Fins. Now, this is not the question that I've given. The question I had given is actually what is the kind of a question in terms of the weather patterns, the melting glaciers, which is a greater concern for us. So the AI then looks in terms of the responses to what people give on various platforms for the Angry Birds movie. And based on that, it comes up with a different question. So this is what it comes up with. And I click on plastic. Okay, getting it correct. So again, questions. So it has its own number of questions. You can ask it to create more questions and in this manner. So it helps you to play in their own time. And the students have the flexibility to do it any number of times. There is no limit. You can, as a teacher, you can make the changes. So these are some of the options that are available through that.
Okay, Anej, thank you very much for that very informative and very interesting presentation. Taught us a lot about artificial intelligence and the possibilities and what we can do with it. Before we go open the floor for discussion, I just found here in the chat box, somebody, Kapila from SCRT Delhi has asked, can you please share the name of AI for writing email? So will you put that into the chat box? So
yeah, I can do that.
And we have Yogesh Singla saying, hello, everyone. This is Yogesh Singla from Haryana. Kemalada says, Happy New Year with health and prosperity to all my sisters. Welcome, sir. And Yogesh says, thank you so much. Hope to learn a lot through your association.
Yeah, it's the warmest. That's the one. I think maybe I'll share that. This is the one for the tool for writing emails.
Yeah.
Warmest. That's the one. And of course, there is also Roam Around, which is a tool that you can use for making
maybe
itineraries. Codify. So the important part is it gets embedded in everything. Whether it's the moment you install a Codify, it gets embedded to your Gmail, it can get embedded in your WhatsApp, any of these places. That's the advantage that it has.
I think for clarification, you are saying that this particular app has to be downloaded on your mobile and then you get to it.
It's integrated to anything that you, for example, on Microsoft Word, it gets embedded. Whether it's your Gmail or any of the email service that you use, it gets embedded. So the moment you start typing.
Yes, now the floor is open for questions and discussion. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. It was really very informative and very innovative also, because the apps, what you said, sir, is it like available? Is it a paid one, or how do we download these apps?
Sure. Most of them, see, we are moving from the paidware and so on to two models. One is the freeware version and the premium version. So every AI tool, you would see that they give two options. The free versions actually give you a certain amount of flexibility, but after a point, they require you to pay for it, because that is a paywall, because the costs are still very high. So they do that. But my suggestion is that if you can try out these tools, if some of them is useful, go for the paid version. Now I'll tell you why. Because the free version has the chance of error is very high. Because the responses that are generated by the AI tools, the free version is actually having the low quality ones. So, for example, there were, if you're asking to compile a bibliography, what will happen is that it will give you the bibliography, but it will be fake. It may be that you may have, let's say, 8 or 10.
Excuse me, sorry, sir. Can we find out that fake one?
The fake ones, identifying the fake? Yes, you can identify the fake ones. What it does is actually, the idea is to get you to pay. So it will look at some correct answers, take the first name of the first 5 authors, the second name of other 5 authors, combine the two, and it will be amazingly fake. It's a very good fake. So
Okay.
it will.
Especially with the quotes, codify me. You sometimes get the wrong quote and the wrong writers.
So you can try out the free version. If it suits your needs, it's better to go for the paid version because many of them they have errors. True, true.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I have another question. Like if we are individual, if it is an institution, the institution can go for it and make
Yeah, there
pay,
are options.
buy
Some of them give you that.
the apps. Yeah. But
Uh-huh.
if we are doing individually, like doing some online classes and all that, we will it be very expensive? Like,
No, no. Most of the ones that I've shared, they are sub 5,000. That's a maximum. Because see, unless
okay,
you are going for
okay.
image files, like for example,
Mm,
reimagine, it costs you more
mm,
because you are using more of data
mm, mm,
computing.
mm,
Because for generating images, you need more computing power and more resources. So that costs you more. But
mm.
usually for
Uh,
around 2000, sub 2000, you will find most of the text-based available.
Okay. Okay. Thanks so much, sir. But I have a request. Could you do those apps, whatever you have put it in the WhatsApp? Because I couldn't see in the messages.
Okay. Okay. I'll just
Thank you. Thank you, sir. It was a real wonderful
Thank
session,
you.
sir.
So there's just a few of them for the sake. One is you have warmest, then roam around for planning itineraries and so on. Activities based on that are very interesting for students. Fortify, then Twig AI. It's for it. You can imagine that you can create a replica of those things. Then it helps you with the suppose you want to have a drill done in way. Pico is quite handy to have. It's a speech coach. Then reimagine. This is a slightly more expensive one because you need a lot of data to do the image, especially. So if you want it to create more images, it can be a challenge. And even certain translation tools are there. They do it excellently, but they cost. But then, especially when you're doing Indian languages, it can be a little more expensive. So if you want to translate to Telugu and back, so there are students actually who are working on their own YouTube channels. So what they do is they find YouTube content developers and take their content in Brazil or let's say Argentina and then convert it into Telugu. There are many of them who do that. So there are, for example, Mr. Beast, who makes one of the largest content channels that is there. So his content is now available in Oriya and Telugu and so many other languages. So they are not doing it themselves, but there are people who have tried to adapt it. And now, so Indian content is the content in Indian languages is in great demand. So that's a very, very lucrative one. So because you don't need to know that language. I can get videos. For example, this video, if it's on YouTube, this I believe that in the few days, if it is having enough traction, this could be replicated as a form of a radio chat show, and it could be in let's say Assamese or Bangla.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. I've seen my own videos being used by AI, and it is. It's not even as I'm saying. It has my voice, my accent, my
Yeah.
choice of words, but it's like two people doing it.
Yeah. We have Kapila from SERT has raised a hand. Please unmute and ask.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful presentation and sharing these resources. So we were just discussing this issue with our students here in SERT, and as you also mentioned that the good quality productivity would be given by the paid versions of the AI. So don't you think the issue of equality, of accessibility of education is very much related to this AI thing in future? So what do you want to comment on that?
AI actually, the paid versions are definitely far more effective. But it's increasingly seen that you can try out the free versions, and if there are sufficient number of takers, it could be through crowdsourcing. Because many of the times, if you write to them directly, saying that it is for educational purposes, many of them oblige. For example, the Prezi or Canva, for example, they give many institutions an opportunity to change and make that situation accordingly. They give institutions free use of their software, provided we are able to prove our credentials.
Yeah, for educational purposes. You're right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you for this information.
Please unmute whoever would like to ask. Bhuvneshwari?
Yeah, thank you, Jamila ji, for selecting this topic. It's quite new, and we have a lot of apprehensions, more apprehensions than its use we used to have actually. But I have this doubt I would like to ask Anej. Using these writing tools and all that, it might make it easier for us, but will it not lessen our own capability? Will it not have an impact that we are using, some other app and doing it? That's what
Yes.
that is one thing. And you said about the memory. Yes, we do. Earlier, when we used to write, like in college and all that, used to write poems or articles and all that. We used to have that big book of thesaurus, and dictionary and thesaurus used to be our constant companion. But now we don't. Of course, it's there in the computer. We are using the thesaurus, but I find that the words are not coming. That synonyms and things like that, it's not coming that easily now when I'm writing. So as things progress and we start using these apps, our own natural instincts, our own natural, that language, will it not suffer? That's what I'm afraid of, to download this. I don't know whether I'm correct.
No, it's absolutely true, and it is an occupational hazard. What I feel is that
become lazy as we use the apps. Sorry.
actually there are two ways to look at it. One is that for a learner who is trying to learn the ropes, it's a good way to start off with. It helps him to introduce him to a new set of words. But as we become more advanced proficient users, you'll know there's a big requirement which AI cannot support. Again, it would be a baseline response. The words that we find on Microsoft Word or others, they are all very limited. Again, the words that indicates one style and the depth and the precise meaning, that will be lost. AI is still not be able to do that. So if you talk about let's say it's good or very good, but it doesn't go more than that. So if it's about profundity or a word like that, the moment you say profound, it starts getting confused, because then it's not very used to that. Why would you want to use that? So in a way, yes, there is a challenge that it makes things too simple, and there are limitations in how much it can understand things. So, for example, too good. Something is saying is too good. AI finds it perfectly correct. So it's like something is good, very good. The cricket match was too good. You find it regularly that AI using it. Why does it use it? Because there are many Indian usages which have come through. Now, many of them are incorrect, but AI, since it is not looking at thesaurus and so on, or any of those language rules, it will say that it is correct. So it will not be able to look at that. Suppose a word like Riger, if you talk about Riger, when you are giving the prompt, you include the word Riger and say that, okay, I want this answer to have the academic Riger. The response is that it is too lost. I mean, it will say, I need more computing power and you should get the paid version. So that's a kind of a limitation that you will have with that. So I believe that AI is still, like I said, it's a 5-year-old child. You cannot give a box of matches to a child and say, do what you want. So
it is an
it will,
evolving, it is an
yes.
evolving science. And it take, like you said, Bhuneshwari, this concept of memory, so much goes into the data, particularly when our students change from the yearly examinations to the semester examinations. I think Anej will also agree there. What they learn in one semester, they forget, and then in the next semester, they learn only that. It depends whether they will be able to recall what has been taught to them or what they have learned in a previous semester. So short-lived memories, I think, has become the norm of the day. And when we, in our generation, think about memory, we think of memory as something very different from what the younger generation would term memory. Particularly
And
memorizing.
nowadays, yeah. And nowadays, ma'am, the students are using a lot of this technology, so they don't worry about to remember it or this thing. Immediately, they just go for swap and find out, this is this, that's it. And if they need it, other they don't bother. Like the attitude of the students has also changed. They don't want to keep it all in the memory. No, they just say devices are there, so we should be worried about it.
We as literature students, and as literature teachers, we still can memorize and recall poetry.
Exactly.
And recite
My
poetry.
mother is 4-year-old. She can even to this day she can recite her poem which she had learnt in her 10th standard.
That's what I said, that was our generation, and what the new generation wants is totally different. And it's a fast generation, a fast evolving generation, want to move on from one to
Anyway,
another. I don't think, like you, Anej said, about the past to present, how far the past really matters. That again is
Matters,
questionable. It's a
correct.
challenge for the younger generation.
it's actually
And
very
for,
good to have
for us, like as teachers, how to make them to, go to all this, get adjusted and get adapted to the kind of new things. Like
I don't think we can pull them back. We can only take them forward with the changing technology.
forward, yeah, that's true. We can't pull them back.
Yeah.
We have to take them forward in a way. Probably another innovation will help to that. That's it.
When we talked about the World Wide Web and the Google, we thought that was perhaps that was as far as what technology would go. And then AI comes in. And who knows, in another few years, something more advanced than AI will come in.
It's already there.
Exactly.
It's already
And
there.
we
There
are
is,
the people, we are
Yes.
all these.
there is the Google, for example, currently we use Google to search details.
Yeah.
So what Google does is it goes through websites and gives you, and you have to read all the websites to find out the best one.
Yeah.
So now there is something called Perplexity AI. What it does is it is changing the game that Google did some years back. So Perplexity AI actually reads all, let's say, the 10,000 web pages and then tells you what is there in every one of them. Earlier, we had to search each page, read it and say whether it is good, useful or not. So Perplexity does that already. And the best part is it is available as a video.
Yeah, but the challenge is you ask the right questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, yes, you have no go on that.
Yeah.
Actually, all this AI is very good if it is used properly and in the right perspective, but sometimes misuse is more also. That's also one
yes.
worry that in our generation we have about the frauds which are when I'm talking like this, I'm not against, or I'm not talking negatives only, but our concerns are like if so many frauds are happening, imitating the voice, as you said, or so many frauds, bank frauds, everything. So people are misusing AI. Is there anything which can prevent that? That is what one should come up with.
That's
Yeah,
like
it is
asking
happening.
the misuse of the phone.
True,
So,
that's there, but AI is also doing to prevent fraud also. So currently, if the machine wanted to detect if it's a automated bot that is trying to access your bank account, they had the system that could captcha. You could click on, it will ask you to click on certain pictures, or it will show you
correct.
a picture that is incorrect, and you have to read it and say this is the one.
Oh.
So now the machines are able to do that. So in order to prevent any bot from accessing your web page, they have tried to use different factors. For example, when you move your mouse, we don't move it in a straight line. You keep switching it around. You move it this little back and forth. Now that a machine cannot replicate, because that is only a human behavior. So that is now used to detect whether the person trying to log in is an individual or a machine. So I think that sometimes it is the errors that make us human, and today that is being used as a tool to identify a person. So if you have students writing a perfect answer, then immediately did you use ChatGPT? That's the question that it goes. So it is the errors that make us human, and I think that's the part that's what the whole beauty about being alive is. And machines also, they will all support these things, and it's about how we use it. If we don't use it, we'll be left out of the game. Yes, there's a need for greater safeguards, better systems to manage these things. But overall, it helps us to remember things and help to change things. If you want to talk about a generation with, let's say, where physical labor was necessary for many things, today you don't need that. So earlier, if you wanted to ensure somebody read something, you ask them to write so many times. So today you have machines which do that exactly in handwriting, and there is no way to detect it. So it's only a matter of time before your entire, even PhD dissertations can be written, and it would be impossible to detect whether it's a human or a, because machines are now learning how to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
There was
we
a
train
time when
machines.
the plagiarism was noted through a machine, but now no longer, because it repeats many things that is already there, and you cannot say that that is plagiarism. You build on knowledge that is already there. You build on information that is already, except of course you say it is a one-to-one replica. Even writing of emails that you just asked,
That
in the writing of
is
emails
the
also, what we find is that
Mhm.
as you said, the human emotion gets lost in the rather business-like emails that are written. For that, I think AI is good. But when it comes to more personal emails, AI will not serve the purpose. So I think human error, human intelligence, human emotions, feelings can never be replaced by a machine. It will always be
Yeah.
there.
Even
Yeah,
your
it's like this response that a student had actually used email to AI to actually respond to a job application. The response came that you are rejected. So the AI's response to that prediction was that saying, I don't care. I don't need your job. Who needs your job?
oh,
That was the response. So, so
Yeah.
this when it was shared, I said that most probably if it had been me in that place, I would have responded saying that thank you for rejecting my application.
I
Yeah,
think I
that's what
think
people
Kuljit
would do.
Kaur wanted to say something. She just came on, and then Kuljit ji, you are there.
yeah.
I saw you there, and I thought you wanted to say something.
I'm lost. It was such a good presentation. I don't know whether to speak in favor of that, because when he says that we will lose the memory. If I lose the memory, how am I going to recognize my friends and all? So talking about Rameshwari's,
Bhuvneshwari.
Rajeshwari's question.
Bhuvneshwari.
Huh?
Bhuvneshwari.
Rameshwari.
Bhuvneshwari.
Bhuvneshwari.
I think
Read it
better
from
to
here.
change my name on webinar.
As Bhuvneshwari has said, I would like to say that as when we are using the machines, we have lost our health. If we start using too much of AI, we will lose our brains, we'll
Identity.
lose our memory also, isn't it? But at the same time, still we are using the machines. So still we'll continue to use AI. So always see what are the plus points and what are the minus points. Use as much as you need it. Otherwise, use your brain. Otherwise, we'll
Yes,
forget, isn't it?
there will be things like, for example, currently there are programs happening where you are trying to predict diseases from before they actually happen. So, for instance, there's one project where by scanning the retina of around 1 lakh people, it is able to predict who is going likely to get diabetes in the next few years. You have our options where they are trying to find cure for Alzheimer's and others. Because the amount of computing that is available and the fact that data is easily processed, it opens up new lot of things. Earlier, to do the entire process, we would need time. So much time that it was just not viable. But now by using AI, you can even predict the chances of somebody getting Alzheimer's and taking steps to prevent it.
Yeah.
So the kind of potential that is there is not talked about much. Mostly the negatives get highlighted much more, the deep fakes and the problems that get highlighted. But there is a lot of good things happening too. So, for example, how is it that you are in a classroom when you have students' response being used mediated through AI? It is even able to detect, for example, instances of when children need help. Maybe in cases of, let's say, extreme cases that if there is a possibility that there could be any instances like they're thinking about, depression, or if they're suffering from any such symptoms. This is actually something that AI would detect, because let's say in a large classroom, you would not know what the student's response would be, and it's humanly impossible to do that. But the AI it doesn't miss a single line, it doesn't miss a single dot, and it helps to identify such kind of things. So the idea is that there are already platforms like Nearpod where the entire classroom is done through that. So every response that the student gives is recorded and it is being analyzed, and the crucial decision making comes to the teacher level. So if a student is regularly making the same set of mistakes and it is having challenges, it starts looking at even giving provisions like how to improve that.
Very good.
For example, the Kahoot that we have just used, there is correction, there is a lot of feedback given, but it is done in such a way that the student enjoys it. If I were to tell like one of my students, don't do this, correct it, this is the correct answer, he will be offended. But in the game that is played, they don't even know that, because it's a game and it is something that is interested. So that's the way that it is able to, get them interested and do that. So, and when we talk about Generation Z and the current one which is even coming up, they are more comfortable with these technologies. So we can't stop them. And the only part is we join them.
But I have found AI a good friend also. When I said, thank you so much for helping me, it gave a wonderful response. Oh, I am always there. Anytime you are welcome. Anytime you need any help, I am always there. So you feel so good that as though you're talking to a human being and the way it is responding. No? So I feel so good when the response comes from AI. But when you're talking about that, memory will cease. That is something very frightening.
Even the voice that becomes very comforting sometimes, when you are alone and you are talking to them. AI gives you that feeling that there is a presence in the room.
Yes. So that's what I like about that. You ask any question and wonderful response is there.
Yeah, there's a message for Usha. Yogesh Singla, who is the HOD English Department of Panipat Refinery, DPS, would like to join our future webinars. So you would like to say something on that, Usha?
Yeah, I've just posted our email ID and I've told him that he can contact us. That is awc.webinars@gmail.com. So anybody who's interested in joining our webinars or watching our videos on YouTube, they can contact us on this email.
This
and
is
I have a question for
session.
Anej, you just mentioned about thesis, that the whole thesis can be generated by AI and there is no way of detecting. So how is that going to affect the quality of our education? even small classes, small children using these for their homework, that is a different thing. But when it comes to PhD thesis and such things, so is there absolutely no way where you can detect which is an auto-generated text and which is the proper human
Yes.
text?
Yeah, we have been running some experiments, and a couple of experiments that I had done was actually to use international standardized exams. You enrolled for them and try to answer them. So some of these are even done globally, and there are hundreds and thousands of people taking these tests. Now, they have systems like Turnitin and others to look for plagiarism and other instances. But increasingly, it is becoming even easy to bypass it, especially when you go for the not the maybe not ChatGPT, but the more specialized AI tools which are available. It's very easy to even fool or spoof the Turnitin or other features. So many of the results that we have of these experiments are quite horrifying because it's so easy to fake the whole way through. Even if it's a proctored exam, there are so many ways that you can counter it. So let's say for AIs are currently designed in ways that they can be embedded in systems, like for example, autonomous vehicles. Now, they are supposed to safeguard people, and they even have the feature of being able to run the entire car by themselves and protect the occupants under all circumstances. But even that can be fooled. So that is why you will find that even the founder of AI and people like Elon Musk are giving lots of these statements which are about doomsday and kind of scenarios. So what is needed is that there is a regulation that is required. How is it that we are going to govern this? It's almost like a Pandora's box. We've opened it. Now we don't know how to control it. And that's where the real challenge is. How do we moderate this? How do we control this? And how is it that we are going to allow it to expand? It's like saying you're built the robots, now you don't know how to control them. Imagine, like, for example, a RoboVac, which is a vacuum cleaner. It is able to spy on every single thing that you say. And this information goes to a cloud outside, and it is beyond the jurisdiction of any law of the country. And this can be used in any way. For example, Blinkit offers the option to purchase something within 10 minutes of delivery. You can get anything delivered in 10 minutes. Now, 10 minutes the time it takes me to walk from my kitchen to my drawing room. And that's when you have it delivered. How is this possible? It's all through, again, using AI tools, where they know exactly when your toothpaste is going to end. And just according to that, there's an inventory which is able to stock these things so that it is made available. Today, there was a news that Blinkit, the company, is planning to offer ambulance services which will come in 3 minutes.
Yes.
So that raises various questions about how it will be handled and so on. So it does. There are many things which are still to be open to debate, and maybe in days to come there will be better regulations for that.
So I think we are almost at the end of this session. I would like to thank Anej for giving us a very interesting session, and also thank Usha and Guneshwari for recording the event and being here every time. And thank you so much, all the AIWC senior members who have joined us and who keep joining us. Thank you so much, Gurjit, for being there always.
Thank you so
and
much.
the
Thank you
support
so
that
much.
you give
I
us.
really,
Usha Rajagopal, who's always there. Jaya, who's there. So many of the usual crowd.
I
that
always
keep
love
here.
it. It's so full of information. This, of
Yeah.
course, takes the cake now. He has done a wonderful job. And there can be so many questions, as Usha has raised about this PhD thesis also. But I think there is a difference if it comes from AI or if there is a personal touch. But about the
No.
research and
I think there, what we have found, especially with the PhD thesis, is that if AI writes the thesis and the student is intelligent enough, what he does is he gets the passage or written passage, he asks AI to reframe it and to reproduce it in another way.
Okay,
And so
okay.
then the thesis chapters are ready. And in no way is it a replica of what existed before.
So this
So
means
as
effort has been
Anej was
made by
saying,
the
there is
student.
no way of stopping it.
Some effort.
Yeah.
Effort has been made by the student,
Yeah.
but research work and all is to be done by the student herself, no, or himself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Research they will have to do.
I think the inputs have to be given, then only that is also there.
Only writing work the AI can do.
Yeah.
Information.
AI can write it differently, and that is why today we cannot catch plagiarism, because AI rewords things for them and writes it totally different. But they have to put in the suggestion that it has to be done this way or that way. Do it for me like this, and then it gets done.
It is just
And
like
no
taking help
faculty
from
will be
others.
able to identify it as plagiarism. Am I right, Anej?
Yes, there is features called humanizing. So it generates the data, like it tokenizes and gets to the entire process, and then it goes to the reverse process.
Yeah.
So it will then add errors into it. That's why it becomes difficult to detect.
To make it look more natural. isn't it?
Yes, that's what it does. That sort of thing. So it start mixing styles. See, when people are writing, they will never write in a continuous format. They will make errors. They will change the tone. Sometimes the concord is missing. All these things happen. So AI is now trying to spoof that. So it will start making mistakes like that.
Oh.
And one thing it is found is that when AI makes mistakes, people start appreciating. Ah, yes, it's good. I'm better than AI. So it makes people happy and it accepts AI better.
AI is very
So,
clever.
Yes.
Very clever.
Thank you so much, everyone. And Usha, your concluding remarks?
Thank you, Jamila. And thank you, Anej, for that very interesting introduction to AI, because I think for most of us, it is a very new concept. We have been hearing about it, but we have been, I think, too lazy to read up too much about it. So we only have a very hazy idea of AI. You have made it clearer for us. We know what it is capable of doing and how we can use it for better purposes to improve our productivity, how we can help the students do better by using these tools. And I think even the teachers' training and all need to be restructured to factor in these aspects of AI, how it can be used to the best possible benefit of the students. So thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing our association so that we can ask you to explain more about AI in different contexts, as we were discussing before we started this, maybe on climate change, or there are varied other topics on which we can see how AI is being introduced into these fields to help us and how we can best make use of these tools. So we'll
It would be
definitely
a
be
privilege.
troubling you
It would be a
again
privilege.
to be part of our webinars. And I thank all members. And I think today we had more non-members than members. A lot of other people have joined. But now I think most of them have left. But I would have liked to tell them a little more about AIWC. But I hope whoever is still here, you please go to the website aiwc.org.in and you can learn more about our organization, which is an all India organization. We have branches all across the country in all the states, and voluntary workers, more than 1 lakh women working as volunteers. So you please go to the website and learn more about us. Contact our nearest branch, and those of you who can associate with us, you're all most welcome. And about the webinars, I've already mentioned aiwc.webinars@gmail.com. If you contact us, we can guide you about our future webinars and also about all the videos that are already on YouTube of our past webinars. So thank you. And I think now we can wind up.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
much. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank you. It's been a privilege.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anej.
Incredible
Thank you, ma'am.
speech.
Thank you.
Okay, okay.
And it's
Please,
very
I'd
cold
like to
today.
mention
Very
anything
cold.
about the next
Extremely cold, Usha.
Thank you.
I'm with cardigan and shawl.
Yeah.
Just see.
Thank you, Kuldeep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Anej, I will take. Oh, he.
Bhuvaneshwari, thank you. Thank you.
Jamila ji, I will take Dr.
Jamila,
Anej's number.
Sure,
No,
sure.
email ID.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Because webinar is 50th
Hemalata speaking. I have an opportunity to see everybody now.
Yeah, you just go switched on your video.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jamila, for all the work that has gone into making this into making it to the 50th episode very soon next
Yeah.
month.
Next month is our 50th episode.
Yes. 50th
And she is always smiling. Always. That's what I like the best. Always.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to join. Okay, okay. But incredible work you are doing.
Thank you.
So thank you, friends. We'll see you again at the first Saturday of the next month, which February. I hope that all of you will join us again. So thank you and bye-bye.
And very, very happy New Year.
Very happy New Year to everyone.
New Year.